So, I have news. Some of you that are in the Discord know this already, but I find it very oh, motherfucker, my tits are showing! Okay, anyway, hi. But I find it very funny that I think it was about this time, actually no, I think it was like a year and a half ago, I started stream, and I played Skyrim, and I said, chat, guess what? I quit my fucking job. And now here we are, a year and a half after that, and chat, I quit my fucking job. I don't know what it is, but every time I decide I'm gonna make a major life decision, I fucking stream the exact next day. But welcome in, everybody. So, little mini EEBEE Games life update. For those of you who did not know, I am, soon to be was, a public school teacher. And I have decided I'm too autistic for this shit. I make more money teaching VTubers how to sing, which, what a fucking world we live in. And I decided, fuck this, I'm going home. So I thought about not streaming Forgotten City today, full disclosure, because I do like this game a lot, and I did get it working. I do like this game a lot. I want to finish it, but there was part of me that's like, can I just put like Power Wash Simulator or something and bitch about shit? But I was like, you know what? No, it's okay. We're gonna play game. We're gonna have a good time. But I'm very excited for this life change, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So we are gonna be. I do want to play Power Wash Simulator at some point. But the good news with this is one, I will finally be able to have not anxiety attacks every night before I go to bed. But mostly, me with no school means more content. So I'm not like only gonna be streaming once I quit my job. In fact, my main thing is probably gonna be teaching VTubers, because that's my main shebang in terms of money. But since I won't be at school and I won't be dead all of the time, I am hoping I can make some more there's a few different types of content I want to explore making that I just haven't had the time or energy to. I want to do more IRL content, for one. IRL content is something I've been trying to get back into for a while, and I just haven't had the energy. I want to start doing little mini vlogs with me and Dave. I think it'd be funny. I want to do more cooking streams, more EEBEE exists kind of shit, and I think now I will have the time to do that. I'm really excited. But yeah, that's my life update. Yippee! I'm still alive. Some frequently asked questions I got were, why are you quitting teaching? Why are you quitting being like a regular public school teacher? And the answer is, it made me want to die. So I'm like, you know, Christmas present to me, I quit. So basically, the TLDR is, it's not set in stone yet. In fact, they might suspend my teacher's license for 2 years because I'm quitting in the middle of the year, which is very highly frowned upon. But it's kind of just like, and I feel really guilty about it. Like, everyone I know is telling me not to feel guilty about it. But like, I feel really guilty about it because it's like, I know I'm kind of fucking over the school. I know I'm kind of fucking over the kids, but like, I would like to get more than 4 hours of sleep. I would like to not have panic attacks all the time. Okay, I'm done being Menhera. I'm done being mentally ill. We play game now, okay? We play game now. No more mental illness. I got all my mental illness out. It's on the floor. We'll mop it up later. It's just gonna sit there. Mom, I threw up my mental illness. What the fuck? Ah! Thank you, Neko. Thank you. I was like, because sometimes sound alerts like cucks me low key, because I'll be like, oh, I'll see the visual thing before I see the actual, before I hear the alert, but I was doing the thing to get the game up. So I saw the alert, but I didn't see what it was, so I was like, what's it gonna be? So, okay, no more mental illness. I have decided I am no longer mentally ill. Yippee! Okay, so basically, in this game, if you played the Skyrim mod, for those of you who were not there last week, oh, thank you for Hydrate Flamestorm. Basically, if you were not there, what happened is this is a game based off of the Skyrim mod Forgotten City. And it's really good. I like it actually a lot better than the mod. But the skinny of what was going on in the game, essentially, like, teach you how to not be mentally ill. Quit your job. That's all I got. Quit your job and take Wellbutrin. That's all I got. I would like I'm also very paranoid that the game's gonna crash and it's gonna have issues like last time, because I do want to finish it. But I'll be so real with you guys. Like, there was part of me that was like, okay, there are some streams where I'm like, woo! Like, and I'm like just popping. Oh my god, ew. Where I'm just like popping the fuck off. And I honestly like highly considered, like, this is what? And left's out his thresh. Oh shit. Who's braying? What the fuck does braying mean? What? Who are you? I don't remember. Aurelia looks busy. Isn't she the lady that tried to grab my balls? I think she is, but anyway. But yeah, a lot of times.
And lets out his threefold braying.
What's up with you?
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea?
Oh, not everything loaded yet.
And
Okay.
scare away my customers.
What does this say?
They
Galerius
follow
for
their
magistrate
trades,
counted by. I would
imitating
rather
their
drink
previous
Aurelia's
lives, but they
special
are
brew.
ignorant.
They do not want. Oh, hold on. The game's really fucking loud. They do not want Galerius. Okay, so let me get the lore. Where's my journal? I have it. That's a photo mode. Okay, so TLDR, the skinny. Okay. I've traveled back, me personally, me, EB Games, not the main character, no, me. I have traveled thousands of years into the past. I'll need to find a way back into this timeline. However, I need to create a time paradox. So if I prevent the sin that breaks the golden rule, it'll be impossible for me to get back into the past. Now, what is the golden rule, you say? Basically, in this weird ancient Roman city, they have this thing that's the golden rule. And essentially what it is the law. If you break a law, everyone will die. Everyone will get fucking yeehaw yeeted. Who is texting me? DoorDash is texting me. God. Oh my god. Oh my god, all the boys like me. I'm getting texts from DoorDash. Hi everybody though, welcome in everybody. Next month I'll be able to get tickets to the anime con for my birthday. Oh, congratulations! What con are you going to, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to share if you don't want to. But basically, if you break the law, everyone fucking dies, or they get turned into these little statues. And they're present and alive for all of that. So that's sexy. So, I should have taken notes, and I didn't. But what we know so far is there's Virgil, all right? We're actually here. Let me just go into the city, because the city's got like most of the people that are important. And we'll just, oh shit, I forgot I had a weapon. That's illegal. Me having that weapon is illegal, but we're just gonna breeze past that. So let's talk about everyone that's important, okay? Because some of these people, they're probably important, I just don't know why yet. Okay, so there's this asshole. This motherfucker had, what I think he had arthritis, and he was a bitch because he had arthritis or something. Does that mean that if you do the naughty, oh hell yeah, they watch, bro. They see everything. So there's this guy, and he was being a bitch because he had arthritis. But we cured his arthritis. I don't remember how, but we did. And then this is Lucretia. She's like a medicine lady, and she likes us because we gave medicine to a girl that was dying.
That's a shame. Thanks again for saving Yulia's life.
Yeah, we saved Yulia's life, okay? Oh, no, that's valid. OG voice of Frieza said, ooh, nice. That's awesome, though, gamer. And then over here, we have Fabia. She's kind of stupid because I changed the timeline, but there was one timeline where it literally says, on this fucking temple, it says, warning, shrine may collapse at any moment. And Fabia, when confronted with danger, fucking yeets her ass into this temple, but I changed it so she didn't go into the temple, and this guy, the assassin, went instead, so I crushed him to death. But Fabia's a little silly, you know, and that's okay, you know. But yeah, that guy came to kill us, which was cringe. So we killed him. Also, even though we're in ancient Rome, I'm able, this is one gripe I have with this game, I'm able to keep my flashlight, okay? I don't like that I can see that I can keep my flashlight, because I feel like if I showed...
Fire's not for sale.
The Promethean, oh, do they think this is just Promethean's fire? Is that what it is? Oh, okay. But yeah, so I just have a flashlight in ancient Rome. So, you know, there's that. Also, this guy, I hate this guy. This guy fucked me over, and he's being a bitch about it. Is he still being a bitch about it?
May I say, that is a glorious bow you're carrying. Do you mind if I ask where you acquired it?
I do mind. Yeah, I took it from, here, this is the whole thing. So he fucked me over, and then I think I caused the end of the world, and now I'm back in my time loop. So I took it from the Shrine of Diana, only discovered you'd locked me inside with angry hornets. I managed to escape, and after a harrowing ordeal in the palace, and traveling back in time, here I am.
Are you well, stranger?
No, I'm mentally ill. We went over that in the beginning.
Confused? Perhaps you should go and see Lucretia in a clinic.
No. Okay. But he's a bitch, and he two-timed me, and I will never forgive him for it. But basically, even if you, like, turn back time, it's still, like, how do I say this? You still get, the items that you have. So I took this bow in a different time.
Girl boss.
Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. You know, guess I get you girl boss. But there's also, where's my other mans? Where's Virgil? Virgil's my homie. So here's Virgil, and he's gay. Like, I'm not trying to say that as like derogatory or me like headcanning, like, oh my god, yes. No, he's literally gay. They called him a slur. This is a slur, essentially. It says it, okay. But we need to find out who's being mean to my man Virgil, because someone in here is homophobic and thinks that if Virgil is gay, that will be count as breaking the law, and that'll trigger the golden rule and everyone will die. Which, one, that's not how that works. But I've gone back in time, so I can't like ask him about the graffiti. But I have 3 suspects, because Fabia told me that the person that put the graffiti out, she didn't get a good view of him, but he was wearing armor. And there's only 3 bitches in this city that wear armor, okay? Who are you gonna vote for?
Well, Malleolus is talking about loosening some of the restrictions in this place. And while it's all a bit vague, at least he has a vision.
Anything I can do to change that?
My vote isn't.
Okay.
Nice to talk.
There's also a homie, where's my other homie? Because there's a very sweet man over here. Yeah. This is,
Hello.
This is
Have
Dooley.
we
I fucking love
met
Dooley.
before?
If anything happens to Dooley, I will kill everyone in this city and then kill myself. He's just a silly little guy who wants to explore, and they locked him up because they think he's a liability. Okay? If anything happens to him, I will lose my fucking shit. Okay? Let's talk about your treasure. That's his thing, though, is he's looking around town. He has this vision, I think, or a map of treasure, but no one would listen to him, and they locked him up because they think he's gonna accidentally break the golden rule or something.
My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But then, he died.
Aww.
It was very sad.
Aww.
He said, if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns.
So we need to go
But
up
when
to
I
the
went
cisterns.
up to the high one, they put me in here. Now nobody looks after me. Except my friend Galerius.
Galerius is also a homie. We'll talk to
And
Galerius soon.
The priestess lady.
I don't think
She's
we've
a nice
met the
lady.
priestess lady yet, so we might need to go search for her. If you can give me the key, I can try to figure out what it unlocks.
Hannibal said I shouldn't give it to anyone I didn't trust. But maybe you could help me get out of here?
Yes.
Then I would trust you a lot.
So number one priority is getting him out. Okay. Let me talk to the
Galerius
magistrate.
already tried that. He said the magistrate wouldn't listen, no matter what.
Can I just break him out of prison?
What about the rules? I don't want
The
everyone to
famous
get in
General
trouble
Hannibal is this
because I
guy's
was
friend.
back.
Hell yeah, they're besties. Hi, Cola. Maybe we have a new
Like-
magistrate.
Galerius?
Galerius is a homie. We
He's
need to find
nice.
Galerius.
I like Galerius. He made me a doll and
I
everything.
love him so much.
If you help make him magistrate,
I
he
love
can
him.
get me out of here, and I can give you the
So
key
we need to
my
get
treasure.
everyone to vote for
Hannibal
Galerius.
said it was in the cisterns. I can't remember what it was, just that it was way up high and very precious.
Okay. I'll get right on it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. So, that is our number one quest. We need to find Galerius, and I think we still need to convince him to run for magistrate. Because I think there's already like 2 people running for magistrate. So, Galerius is the guy at the beginning that's like, oh, hello, stranger. Welcome. I'm just a humble farmer. And then you like, oh, wait, this is Equita. Okay. This is the priestess lady he was talking about.
Harvey again. Did you find what you need?
What's the status of the election?
It must be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malleolus, the challenger. Why do you ask?
I'd like to nominate Galerius.
I like the idea, but I know Galerius well, and his position
All
has
weapons
always
are to
been
be
that he
tossed
won't
into
run
the
unless
chasm.
Malleolus
Magistrates
withdraws.
Someone's talking in
It
the
was only
background.
yesterday
I
that
was
he
like,
said
what?
to me he'd only ever run if it was absolutely necessary to make sure Sentius wasn't re-elected. So, I suppose if you'd like to see Galerius elected magistrate, you'd need to persuade Malleolus to withdraw somehow.
I think I can do that. Why is he an Olympic team in Roman times? Because we're time traveling. We went back in time, okay?
Certainly.
We'll need to talk to Malleolus.
See you again soon.
I think to get him to withdraw, although I think we need to get past that guy, because isn't he the one that's
How
like...
come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not?
Because I'm sexy, okay?
Couldn't stay away, huh, lovely?
No, you're ugly.
Whatever.
I also need to figure
Just
out
remember,
who's threatening Virgil,
I'll
and
be
like every time
watching.
I've talked to one of the people with armor and been like, "You're threatening Virgil," they're like, "Prove it," and I'm like, because I don't have any fucking proof. Is there anything in here? I feel like they would be in a fancy place, and this looks fancy. So maybe upsies. We're looking for Malleolus, and I think that's who we're looking for. Let me check. Yes. Figure out how to get Galerius elected magistrate. And I need to ask Galerius about it. So let's actually make that a detail. And then we can find Galerius. But we'll see. Let's do that. We'll follow what the game wants me to do. So I'm not wandering around on my ass for 20 minutes like I usually do. Wait, who's this guy? Who are you? Oh! That's who they're talking about. That's the current magistrate.
I assume you already know who
Oh, I was supposed to talk to him.
May I know your name?
Thank you for the key. I'm EEBEE, and we've had this conversation before.
We have? Wait, if I understand correctly, someone is about to break the golden rule, forcing me to create a portal in time to bring you here?
Yeah.
I must have entrusted you with figuring out who the culprit is. Only, I assume we failed. And you had to
No,
start
it wasn't
over.
we, it was I. I think I
Is
shot
that
somebody.
about right? If so,
I do think I've shot somebody. I broke it.
you broke it. Why in Pluto's name would you do that?
I was trying to save someone's life. I'll go buy
Well, it
tactics
seems you
for hanging out.
failed spectacularly. Look, it's
I failed! Oh, thank you for that, Jay.
All that matters now is that you make use of what you've learned
Shit.
and gathered
Shit.
and
Shit.
do better next time.
Okay. He really
Seems
was like,
sorting
try
out
again
again
next
for a
time,
reason.
idiot. Yeah, I want you to release Dooley.
You mean Duilius?
Yes.
Releasing him is out of the question, I'm afraid. That man is a liability we simply cannot afford.
Also, is the game too loud?
Perhaps you're not aware he was caught multiple
Actually,
times.
I think it's just the music. I'm gonna turn the
sneaking
music down
around
after
in
this.
places he should not have been.
What exactly did he do?
Look, I can see where you're going with this. You think me cruel. I assure you
I
that
do.
is not the case.
It
You may
is.
not be aware of this, but it was not so long ago, during the Republic, the law of the 12 Tables would have required that he be killed as soon as he was born, owing to his deformities. Here we see to it that he has food, water, and shelter, and most importantly, he is able to continue living. A privilege
Wow.
that would be taken
The
away
bare
from all
minimum.
of us were he to be
Fantastic.
released and commit the crime of trespass.
Woo,
The man has
trespassing.
no
woo.
self-discipline, poor comprehension of what is going on around him, and is an incorrigible rule breaker.
So am I.
will
What
not
about it?
jeopardize the lives of my people so that one man can go free. Now, was there something else?
Let's see if we can ask him any questions.
Ask then.
What do you mean when you said Prosperina sent me?
You see,
Proserpina,
in my
whatever.
search for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual.
Whose
to
idea was it that if anyone commits?
the
I actually
goddess
don't
of
know.
the cycle
Honestly, I don't know where it
of
started.
renewal. It's said to open a doorway in time so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the past. And when I saw you arrive in a flash of light from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our time,
No.
do you?
Yes, I do.
A pointless lie.
Oh, okay.
Tell me, in your time, what did you see? What had become of us? Of this city?
You'd all been turned into golden statues, bud.
I have imagined it. Our downfall 1,000 times. But it still breaks my heart to hear the truth of it.
Well, how does the ritual you're talking about work, though?
All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions. I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly.
Hi, Mystic.
The life
Welcome
of
in.
the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future?
No, fuck you. Oh, I did see human remains in the temple.
I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it.
I think I've made him use it like 10 times at this point. I can't promise nothing.
Well, thank you for your candor, I suppose.
Yeah. That's all.
Good. Now, was there something else you wanted to discuss?
Not right now.
Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Okay. It's fucking loud. We're gonna turn that down. And we're gonna turn the music down. Yes. There we go. So hopefully the game's not as loud. Okay. Let's go find Galerius and be like, hey man, you should run for magistrate. Oh, also, fun fact. The statues follow you. So like, if you go here, and then you like move over here. Oh, this one's head doesn't turn. Some of the statues, their heads turn. That one didn't turn for some reason. Okay. But let's see what's going on with Galerius. Oh, he has a little statue over here. Oh, hey!
Salve again, friend. I went and did as you asked, and it worked.
Oh, yeah, I asked him to help someone.
How is it possible that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly what's about to happen to them?
I'm a time traveler.
You're toying with me, right? Wait, you're not kidding, are you? That's the only way you could have known.
Yup.
You're a bit like... Oh, what was his name? Sisyphus. Yeah, that's the one. Old King Sisyphus.
Sisyphus. How so?
Sisyphus was a Greek king a long time ago. For daring to think he could outsmart the gods, he was given a terrible punishment. He was forced to push a great boulder up to the top of the hill.
Oh, I know
as
this
it
one.
reached the top, it would roll all the way back down to the bottom, forcing him to start over and over and over again for all eternity. Just like you.
I really hope
Actually,
that's
now
not
that I
my
think
fate.
about it, there are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same futile task over and over. Tantalus was made to grasp at fruit on a tree he could never quite reach. The Pleiades had to keep fetching water in a sieve. Oh, and Ixion was strapped to a wheel going round and round forever. But on the bright side, at least you're not stuck in the underworld like they all
Yeah,
were.
it's pretty nice
Anyway,
over here.
I don't
Like,
know
I
which
could
god
just
you managed to
not
upset to
do
get yourself into
anything
this position,
and
friend,
just
but
live
you
here.
seem all right to
And
me.
I'd be happy.
So, I'll
It's
tell you
chill
what,
here.
I'll
Like,
keep
it's not
doing
that bad. It's
whatever
kind
I
of
can to help
nice.
you. And you just focus on finding a way to
I
break the
said,
cycle. you're in.
welcome. Feels like being made in Bannerlord too. I mean, I like it. I kind of like that it's not combat heavy. It reminds me of like a tabletop RPG session. I love roleplay. I love shit like this. Galerius, you're a good man.
Oh, that's kind of you to say. Now, I'm going to keep your secret. Although, it's not as if I'll remember this next time we talk anyway, right?
I need a favor
and
of
if
you.
our conversations ever start to annoy you, just tell me you're busy. I
Aw.
know when I'm not wanted.
Aw.
May fortune smile on you, friend.
No, I need you to... Okay, here we go. It's probably a separate dialogue thing.
Salve again, my Sisyphean friend.
No,
Now,
call
what's
me
in your
that.
mind?
Okay. Have you ever thought about running for magistrate yourself? Because you should.
I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on and win. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. That's good enough for me.
I guess we'll have to wait and see whether he frees him or not.
I suppose you're right.
Alright, well,
All right, friend. Hope you find a way to break that cycle you're in.
yeah, me too. Let's talk to Equita. And most people seem like they wanted Malleolus, so let's see what happens. I mean, we haven't really, like, I think, we'll see what happens. We'll just call the election, we won't talk to anyone else, and let's see what happens. So, we'll see. Bang. Okay. Hi, Equita. Hi.
Ave again.
Okay.
It must be
Election.
complete- It'll be, but why do you ask?
Start it now.
As I said, I'm
Holding it early may prevent conflict between the voters.
Yes. I have overheard some rather unpleasant arguments. The
Yeah, her
last
lips
thing
are
we
very
hear is
soft.
Additional conflict.
I need to know what
Very
chapstick
well.
she uses.
I'll get
Probably
things started
better than
right
my,
away.
what do I have right now? Than my Mountain Dew Code Red chapstick. It's whatever she's got is the Gucci shit. Okay, I guess we'll just follow her. Oh, she is running up those stairs. Oh, girly fucking on that Stairmaster grind. God damn.
Citizens, it is time.
It's time.
Let us meet to elect our magistrate.
It's that ancient Roman medicine called Botox. Oh, hi, gamer. Hello. Hello. I recognize that username. Hi, kitty. Welcome in. All right. Let's see. Are you guys coming? It's election time. Pull up. Pull up. Wait, where are we going? Are we going into the bathhouse? Is that where they have the election? It's kind of freaky, but like, okay. Like, why not get slutty and perform your civic duty at the same time? I fuck with it. Oh, is this? I love elections. I should have. Nothing bad's gonna happen. No. Something bad happening during an election. Civic gay sex. Civic gay sex. Okay, I need the two candidates to kiss. And whoever passes out first from not breathing will be the loser. Whoever stays will be our victorious ruler. Okay. The election's on. I didn't hear it, but I see it in the subtitles. Hi, Nick. Welcome. There's no, I know we say there's never a good time to enter an EB stream, but I think civic gay sex is a great time to enter a stream. It is your civic duty, okay? That's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And it's gay sex, JFK. Isn't he the one that said that?
We have a
He also said the gay sex.
gathered here to elect the city's magistrate.
I don't know. I remember I was teaching one of my VTuber students, and she was singing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend by Marilyn Monroe. And I was talking about like the style she needs to like sing it with. Like, yeah, like you gotta be like kind of seductive, right? Like it's gotta be kind of sexy, you know? Like you're seducing JFK, and without a fucking beat, she goes, Miss EEBEE, did you know that Marilyn Monroe pegged JFK? And I was like, no, Yoro. It was Yoro, by the way, for my friends that watch Yuri Pro. No, Yoro. I did not know that Marilyn Monroe pegged JFK. And later on, I actually asked my dad. I asked Dad B.
Malleolus.
And I was like, because Dad B, you know, he's done government shit. I don't want to say too much because I want to dox him. And I was like, Dad B, did you know that Marilyn Monroe pegged JFK? And he got so defensive about it. He literally was like, that is not true. That is not correct. That is not true. And I'm like,
I said.
My dad like has several government clearances. Okay, for my dad to say,
That's more like it.
to so violently say it's not true, it is absolutely fucking true. It happened, and I believe that. Okay, I live by that.
To have been elected your
What's happening?
magistrate.
Oh, Malleolus got elected. Yay! I got distracted by pegging. Sorry.
Citizens, under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve.
Wait, why is this mouse not moving?
No more shall
there you
you
go.
walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden.
Get fucking, you're a tyrant, bro. No one likes you. No one likes you. Get fucked. Get fucked.
Of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
Yay!
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot. For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
Wait, what?
What? I have committed.
Wait, what's gonna happen?
crimes. This is madness.
Oh no!
His sentence: to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius.
Ooh.
Here and now for your entertainment.
You
Oh,
have
shit.
no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait, I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
Yeah, you do.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
What?
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
So Malleolus is the one that's gonna break the golden
Rule
rule.
was exposed for what it is, a children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Oh shit,
Shut
he's
up,
ready.
all of you.
Oh fuck.
The magistrate has spoken.
Wait, shoot him?
Enjoy killing you, old man.
How to make Malleolus drop out of the election?
The many shall suffer.
He can't be elected. Oh fuck, I didn't do it fast enough. Okay. He can't be elected. He can't be elected if he's dead. So do I have to shoot? But because if I shoot him, won't that trigger the golden rule, or does that count as self-defense? Motherfucker. Oh shit! Fall damage! God. I forgot that was fall damage. Oh fuck. Okay, so when was my last save? I'm gonna have to do all that again, aren't I? I'm gonna have to go talk. I mean, I can speed through the dialogue.
And if our conversation.
Oh, okay. Galerius, there's an election. There's an election. Wait. Oh no, I technically didn't die. I didn't let it reset. Okay.
All right.
I want to try this again, and then, do you guys want me? You want me to shoot him before, like, before they fight? Is that what you want me to do? Or is it like, shoot him? Like, is that what we're thinking? Is that actually gonna help? I don't know if it is. It's election time. It's election time.
It'll be why?
It's election time. I like to nominate
like the
him.
idea. It was only so. I suppose if you'd like to see.
Wait, I want to. No, okay, we don't know. We technically have to do this over again. Okay, start it now.
As I said.
Get over and done with. Early. Okay, get that shit started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Oh wait, fuck this way. Hey, okay. So this time, if I fuck it up,
Citizens,
if I fuck it up, I won't kill myself.
Let us meet to elect
This
our
time, if I
magistrate.
fuck it up,
Time to go to the
we will go the right way, let it reset, and then be like, Galerius, or not Galerius, a senator sentence. We know who the traitor is. It's fucking Malleolus, that daft bastard. Okay, it's time to go. Listen, Boston, listen. Okay, all right, let's get freaky. Let's get freaky. It's time to get freaky. Okay, I am now also on the board of whatever. You good? This is mine now. Okay. Who's Georgius is talking about? I don't hear nothing. It's election time though. Where's Malleolus? There's Rufius. Yeah, where does Malleolus come from? Is there like a stage left and a stage right? Maybe it comes on from over here. I thought he came on from over. Where is everybody? Yeah, where is he? Yeah, there they are. I guess they're all still getting here. Oh man, he's strapped up. Horatius. Are we all just standing here? Like, is it going? Okay, there he is. Okay, man of the hour.
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city.
I won't take my weapon out until it's time.
Candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus.
Sextus
and Marcus
Sentits?
Malleolus
Sextus Sentits?
We shall dispense with ballots.
Hey, yo.
And candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote.
Okay.
I'll start with you, Horatius.
Who are you voting for?
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Sendius.
Dacius.
Malleolus.
Galerius.
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Real.
Virgil.
Malleolus.
Rufius.
Malleolus.
And finally, Domitius.
Malleolus. Who else?
Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
EEBEE.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, hail, Magistrate Malleolus.
Yeah, what quaint little town of 7 people.
That's more like it.
That's more like it. Shut up. You are the ugliest motherfucker I have ever seen in my life. Get that fucking helmet off your head.
Magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens, under my
Oh yeah, I should save right here. Let me save right here, actually.
leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden.
Tyrant sex
For my
sentence.
first act as magistrate,
I'm sorry I have
hereby
the humor of a
announce
12-year-old
a day
boy.
of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is
By the way,
no
while they're
more.
doing this is a nice tapestry.
It's real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all,
I just want to make sure I get a good
Sentius
shot.
is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes. This is madness.
Here, I'm
His
gonna save
sentence
like really
to
fast so I
fight
can
for
reload
his
if I need
life
to,
in
because I want to see something.
gladiatorial combat against Domitius. Here and now for your entertainment.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait, I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius!
Sickens me. His
ignore
voice
her.
is so stupid.
Proceed!
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is. A
So,
children's
I want to see
fable,
what triggers it, because I
exploited
can't
by a
remember if I shot
treacherous
someone
leader
dead.
to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his
Like, I'm
gladiator
saving
gear.
as much as I
They've
can
been
so I can,
planning
like,
this all along.
get it super
Shut
close.
up,
Okay.
all of you. The magistrate
Because
has
I don't think I
spoken.
would hit anyone. It just
I'm
happened.
gonna enjoy killing you, old man.
Okay.
The many shall suffer.
So I have to do it before that. Okay, let's try that again. So we're just gonna shoot him really fast and make him drop out of the election.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
I think I'm supposed to let it happen. I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna let it happen, and then we're gonna go through with it, and we'll talk to Sentits and see what happens.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear.
I just
They've
want to
been
make sure I
planning
have
this all
someone to
along.
follow so I don't
Shut
accidentally
up,
kill
all of
myself
you.
again, because
The
that's a
magistrate
habit
has
I have,
spoken.
and I don't like
I'm
it.
going to enjoy killing you, old man.
Okay.
The many shall
Follow
suffer
Sentits.
for the sins of the one.
Up over here. Use the portal. Oh, fuck. Okay. Send me back. Alright. Now we know that we need to make Malleolus drop out of the election. So does he count as the rule breaker? Okay, motherfucker. Hi. Alright, take care of some things. This one.
Yulia? Oh no. Poor guy. My uncle.
Alright,
Alright, let me see.
I have all these
Stop
tasks for you.
Fabio
All the
going in,
tasks
so
I'm giving
new
him, by the way, the
arrival
reason I'm
to the
moving past them is
Understood.
I've already done them. This is just to prevent me from doing the same shit over and over again,
I'll
which
go,
is nice.
But once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you know all of this.
Yeah. Okay. Sentits. Where's Sentits? Where's Sentits? Sentits and Vaguba. Okay.
49 melodies fetched.
Where is he? He's up, somewhere else, actually, I think. I think I know. He breasted boobily. I think it's over here, actually. There's troublemaker coming in the city. It's fine. Just lead him into the temple. It's chill.
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not?
Shut up, Domitus!
All weapons are to be tossed into the chasm.
Where is he? Where's Sentits? Maybe he's over here? I deadass don't remember where he is. She will guide. Who's she? And deadass don't remember where he is. Also, where the fuck is this? I'm just running because I'm like, I don't know where I am. I'm like, what? Where are we? Where is this? What is happening? I actually haven't been here before. Oh, zipline! Okay, I forgot I have my zipline. Maybe he's in there? Yeah, I think he's right over there. I think he's standing there. Okay. Really convoluted way to get there, but we'll figure it out. We figured it out. It's okay. Alright. Sent it. Sent it. Oh, you're not. Wait, who the fuck are you?
Salve, friend. I'm Octavia.
Hi.
Welcome to life under the Golden Rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring so far?
I need to talk to Ulpius.
All right, well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming months. And if you ever...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
What?
Oh no. No. Ulpius, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your balance, you'll fall.
That's the idea.
No, don't kill yourself.
Why?
You're so sexy.
Why would you want that?
We
Why do
were
you think
oh fuck,
I'm
we were
stuck
joking
for
about
the
it,
rest
but
of my life, working for a man who treats me
Oh,
like an
fuck.
animal.
I know things are hard for you right now. They're hard for all of us. We're all in this together, Ulpius.
Ah, shit.
Please just think this
I don't
through.
think it is.
If you do this, it could be the sin that seals all of our
Oh, maybe
fates.
it is. I don't know. Shit.
Is that what you want?
I'm sorry, but I just don't care anymore.
Please, Ulpius.
Damn.
Help him. If he goes through with it, it could be the end for us all. I don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with this sort of thing.
Jesus.
Please, you need to talk to him.
Okay. Good luck with that. I'm out of here.
Thank you. And please, choose your words carefully.
Oh boy. Let me. Oh, I can't quick save in dialogue. Fuck. Fuck. Can we talk?
Let me guess. You're going to lecture me on how suicide is a crime against the Empire.
I was just gonna ask you what's wrong.
I screwed up my life. That's what's wrong. I borrowed money, and when I couldn't pay it back, I wound up in debt bondage.
That's the worst
I'll be
type of
stuck
bondage.
slaving away for that Culus Cumulatis Malleolus for the rest of my life.
Did you just call him a
Wherever you
cumulonimbus
are.
cloud?
Scintilla,
Wait,
my
no!
love.
Fuck!
I'm sorry.
Ulpius, no!
Is that gonna trigger it? I guess we're gonna find out.
I can't believe he went through with it. Oh Lord. That poor lamb.
So, like, is he still falling? Yeah, we're good.
Well, I suppose it means suicide isn't a sin under the Golden Rule. So I guess that means whichever god is responsible for it. It isn't mine.
Damn. Was that my fault?
That was not your fault.
Oh, okay. What if
There's
she was
no
like,
way you could
yeah,
have given
you
him
did a
what he
fucking
wanted
oopsie,
moments
idiot.
after you arrived.
Stop. Stop. Okay. What happens now?
I'll have to let everyone know what happened. And I guess Malleolus will have to clean up the mess in his villa.
Well, Malleolus
It's
can
of
get
his own
fucked.
making, after all. And I'd best pray for poor Ulpius.
Well, shit. I really was like, oh yeah, there's set. What? Did you hear that? The statue told me to jump. Huh. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Can I zipline? Anyway, sorry your friend killed himself, but did you
Sounds
see that
like
sick zipline trick? Shit was cool. Wait, what's it? Oh, that's right. Okay, that was where she went through. Okay. I still don't know where fucking Sentence is.
Citizen.
Hi, Rufius. I have a lot to say to Mr. Sentence. No, for real, where is he? What does this say? Theophilus had an orgy with 4 girls here and disappointed all of them equally. Damn, Theo, how'd you fuck up that bad? Always remember they're watching. Damn. Sponge stick. Appears to be for communal use. Wait, what? This is what the Romans used instead of toilet paper. Appears to be for, oh, ew. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I got an achievement for that called unhygienic, by the way. Okay. Is this? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Looks like. We do still need to talk to what's his face, but I do want to talk to Sentence. I don't know where the fuck he is, genuinely. Can I just like journal? Where's my fucking journal? I know it's up to me. I'm trying really hard, but I'm not. When you try your best, what's the fucking button for my journal? I forgot already. What is my journal button? Journal button, journal and inventory, tab. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, tell Sentits. Is there like a... No, there's not a marker for where Sentits is. God damn it. Oh, I can have a look through these people's homes. I didn't even think about that. Let's mark this one, actually. And hopefully we'll find, we'll just find Sentits along the way. And if we don't, we'll figure it out. Okay. Through the slums, I guess, to look through their houses to figure out who's being homophobic. Alright, let's see. Can I just, whee! Okay, there we go. I don't think I've been down. No, I've been down here like once or twice. Okay.
Ixion turns.
Oh shit.
Cerberus lifts his triple head.
There's one
and
of
lets
them.
out his threefold
Let's
braying.
see.
Livia, would you stop muttering like
No,
Medea
he
over a
just has some
cauldron?
money.
You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their
Legionnaires
traits,
banner.
imitating
Doesn't
their
have
previous
anything that would
lives, but
prove
they
he's
are ignorant.
homophobic.
This again.
About this
You're
one.
in a world of your own, aren't you?
Oh! Theophilus had an orgy with Forogors here too? And disappointed all of them? Damn, that's crazy. Dice Tower? Oh, that's cute. Clearly cheating must be a problem among Romans. What does that mean? No homophobia here. Alright, let's check the one over here. Oh shit. Incomplete note. Ah! Ha, ha, ha. Alright. Let's talk to Rufius. Rufius, I know you are homophobic. Oh wait, what's this one? A dream diary. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, now we know. Alright, let's see. That's the thing is, at this point, like, I know it's Malleolus, don't I? But then again, what are they gonna do with that information? They can't just kill him, because, like, that's against the Golden Rule, too. So, like, damn, what do? You know? Alright, let's see. Rivius! That's a dead end. Rivius! No more homophobia! Stop being homophobic! It's cringe!
Oh, shiny.
Those are peoplephobia. Okay.
Citizen.
Hey!
Name's Rufius. Better watch your step.
Are you the one threatening Virgil?
No idea what you're talking about?
I know it was you. I found an incomplete letter to him in your quarters.
Look, I haven't been at my best lately.
You're graffitiing fucking... Yeah.
It's the rheumatism.
Are you literally saying you're being homophobic because of your fucking
Pain in all
arthritis?
your joints. Then the pain starts to mess with your head. Makes you angry, mean. I know that's not an excuse for how I acted. But
Everyone has Botox lips here, I
it's the
swear.
truth. But with the willow bark,
Arthur in his
I'm
side.
already starting to feel like myself again. I'll leave him alone from now on. It's not as if I was ever going to hurt him anyway. I was just lashing out. I'm going to go and clean up the graffiti. Just forget this ever happened. Will you?
Alright, no problem. So, is it the same as in Skyrim where he was being homophobic because he's also gay and he's, like, insecure? Let's talk to Virgil, though. Let's resolve this. I know, Bessie. I'm sorry.
Ah, a fellow traveler
Alright.
from a faraway land.
Ah, a new face.
Yeah. Don't worry about the threats. It's just Rufius and he's never gonna hurt you.
What demon or spirit told you about that?
I found an incomplete note in his house.
You went snooping in his place? That was risky. We're lucky you didn't cross any lines.
I know.
Have you spoken to him about it?
Yup, and he won't be bothering you anymore.
Really? How did you manage that?
I found a treatment for his rheumatism, which was making him agitated and compounding some other personal issues.
Poor fellow. I've heard that
we
can
had a
really
team
mess
for
with
that.
a person's head. Well done for figuring that out.
Yippee! Happy to help. I think he wants to clean up his graffiti too.
Really? That's promising. I'll keep an eye out for him.
Yippee! All
Nice
right.
to talk to you.
Yay! Okay. So that's all resolved. Everyone's happy. Yippee. Do we want to go talk to this man? We need to figure out a way to get... Okay. Let's actually do this first, because I feel like these three are all related to getting what's-his-face elected. So, let's... Where is he? Will it not... Can I talk to him? Will it give me, like, a marker as to where he is? Oh, Dooley. Like, is he still gonna be up there? Did I just fuck up the conversation? I'm not sure, honestly. Where was he? Yeah, he's not up there. We're looking for old...
A golden bow. Just like a
shiny. Let's see. Oh, there's an ad going on.
These statues is worth.
I'm actually gonna go get water while the ad's playing. I'll be right back. I clicked the wrong fucking screen. It was supposed to be my BRB screen. I clicked the fucking starting soon screen. Oopsies. Okay, we're back. We're back. By the way, so I posted on a Reddit thread about how I was scared shitless about quitting. And because, like, the information for teachers that quit mid-year of, like, what you can and can't do, it's not in your contract. Like, they literally make it purposely hard to find out what happens if you quit mid-year. And someone replied to my post on Reddit. It's like, yeah, I quit mid-year in Maryland, and they told me I could never teach in that district ever again. And I'm like, okay, cool, great, fantastic, that's so cool. But apparently the district can hold your teaching. Apparently my certificate for teaching might be held for like 2 years. But, is what it is. Is what it is. You know? Do you know what I use for blood magic? I'm gonna be so real with you. I have no fucking idea. I know it's like, in the collection. I didn't add anything extra for it. I honestly don't remember. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm like looking at, like, sometimes I read the Reddit thread I posted and I'm like, that makes me feel better. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. Alright.
Outside.
That's okay. Alright, let's see. Where's Old Piss Piss? Old Piss Piss. I don't know where to fucking find anyone. That's my thing. Is I'm like, I don't know. Oh, auto save. Okay. I don't know. Hi, Julian. E. I can't find. I wish it would just tell me where the guy. Because I don't have like a map, and I feel like such a dumbass just running around. Oh, thank you for the lurk, Fox. I appreciate that. Does Spider have Piss Piss? Does Spider have Puss Puss? God, I fucking hope so. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know where anyone is. I still can't find Sentit, but I want to find old Piss Piss and see if I can make him not want to kill himself. Which is a bit of a daunting ask of me, but you know, we'll do our best. I guess. Please don't kill yourself. Pretty, please. Pretty, please. Like, where is he, bro? I have no fucking idea. Game is good. I like this game. And we're getting things done. But we know who is someone who breaks the golden rule. Although it could be one of many people that break the golden rule. But I need to find the captain or the magistrate sentence guy to confront him about it. And I can't fucking find him. And there's another guy that's gonna kill himself, and I also have a flashlight in ancient Rome for some reason. And I need to tell him to not kill himself, and I can't find him. Like, that's my one gripe right now, is I'm like, where is everyone? Hello? This is pretty, though. But where could the water be coming from? Great question. Fantastic question. So, let's see. Are you over here? No. No. Zipline? Could I just zipline over there? I don't think I can zipline up. I can only zipline down. We'll just go the long way then. Yeah, he's not up there. Or is he? Did I just miss out? Let's see. Yeah, no, because it was over here. Was where he was. The great temple door is locked. How can we pass this test if we don't know the rules? Good point! Let's see. Could just zip line over there, I guess. Is anyone over here? You down here? I'm afraid if I zip line over, I'm gonna miss something, but I deadass don't know where fucking Sentits went, and I don't know where old Piss Piss is either. I deadass don't know. Maybe he's over here, actually. Because that's where he came from, ain't it? Whee! Okay. Let's see. I think he might be over here. Because I'm trying to think of where we first found him. Because he's in, like, the intro area. Or at least he's supposed to be. I don't think he goes wandering out and about or anything like that. We do need to talk to Galerius, though. Getting that in motion. What does this one say? Don't steal anything, don't hurt anyone, don't... Oh, okay. It's unfinished. Alright. What's this? Can I want to see what's behind the door. Okay, I guess we can't see what's behind the door. It's not in here, is he? No, this is slums. He wouldn't be here. Yeah, because we came from over here. That's where we came from. Let's just talk to Galerius and see what happens, I think. Yeah, because that's the slums. Yeah. We'll talk to Galerius and then we'll try some of the other stuff. But, like, we have a good lead now, you know? We have a pretty substantial lead. Alright. Galerius. Hey.
Don't you just love springtime? Salve again?
Okay. I'm just trying to skip through this because I know we did this already.
Forcing him.
Is there anything new?
So.
Thanks.
Anytime now. Oh, and
do I have to convince him to run
no.
or get that going on again?
I've bounced, but
Oh, here we we go. Okay, if Malleolus runs, he's going to break the golden rule and kill us all.
And how could you... Oh, wait. You've seen it in another time loop, haven't you?
Yup.
Well, in that case, we need to find a way to make sure Malleolus loses. Better yet, get him to withdraw altogether. If you can do that, and Sentius is the only candidate left, I'll run against him. Deal?
Deal. Alright.
Alright, friend. Hope you find a way to break that cycle you're in.
Now, how am I gonna get him to withdraw? I need to get some tea on Malleolus. That's the big thing now. But how? Because I don't think I can go into his house and be, like, spoopy like I was before. First time I broke into someone's house, I think. That's how I figured out the shit about Rufius, I think.
On your best behavior, I trust?
Where would he be? That's Sentia's journal.
That's my room. Leave before I call Horatius.
Sorry. Who are you?
Ugh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want?
Who are you?
I'm Sentia, eldest daughter of the magistrate.
Oh!
But you'd know that if you'd been invited in here and introduced properly.
I need to find him!
What are you doing in here? And why are you dressed like that?
I'm not from around here.
Really? I'd never have noticed, what with your flawless accent, appropriate attire, and impressive mastery of our customs. Now, remind me, why are we having this conversation? You know, some people say it's the creation of an all-seeing God who's watching.
Yeah, I'm like, why can't I find them now,
but
bro?
what
I'm
kind of an
suffering.
awful, incompetent God would let my
I'm
sister go missing
struggling.
on his or her watch?
Fair question.
Did you hear that? Curse you, you coward! Where is my sister?
I don't
what
fucking
do you
know.
have to say for yourself?
What did I
No
do?
response. Nothing.
What did I do?
That's what I thought.
Huh? Oh. Well, we know blasphemy doesn't break the golden rule.
I'm telling you, this mysterious god of ours has to be asleep on the job. Either that, or, like people are saying, it really is just a children's fable my father is exploiting to frighten us into behaving.
Do you know where he is, though?
I suppose.
Like, where is your dad? I can't find him. I need to talk to him. God damn it. Okay, what's this one say? Sentius and Malleolus, same excrement, different smell. Ooh, shit. Okay. Was he on the balcony? That's what I thought. Can I enter this one? No, it's locked. Can I get in a secret way? Every time she jumps, it sounds like she's about to either shit her pants or throw up. No. I was wondering if there'd be like a secret like passageway or something I could go over. And then like sneak into that building. You know what I'm saying? Guess not. We haven't really been in here wait, what's this?
Hey! You're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you?
Not really, no.
Good. You'd be eaten alive. Little runt like you.
By what?
Nobody's told you about Hannibal? Ugh. Why do I have to do everything round here? So, there was this guy called Hannibal, right? Funny accent. Used to go down into the cisterns looking for junk he could clean up and sell. One day, a few weeks back, he comes out
This
and
is where
tells
we need
me
to go for
the
dualies then.
cisterns are haunted. Said he could hear spirits wailing. Of course, nobody believed him, because who trusts a Carthaginian, right? Anyway, a few days later, he goes back in. And hours go by, and he hasn't come back out, yeah? So I go down after him, and it's dark. But in the distance, I can just make out his body, sprawled out on the ground. And hunched over him was something that made my blood run cold. No word of a lie. I saw a creature.
A creature?
Like the corpse of a man who'd been
A
flayed.
creature?
And it was eating Hannibal.
What'd you do?
Well, any sane person would have
What'd
done.
I miss?
I legged it out of there
Malleolus breaks the
and put a
golden
sign
rule
at
and
the
someone
door to
killed
warn the
themselves. So there's that. This is a great story, but I'm still going down there.
Well, it's your funeral.
Okay. So I guess I can go down there then. Because this is... the upper cistern. So I need his key. But there's not going to be much I can do in here until I get that key. Oh, this is spooky looking. Oh. I don't like this. I don't fucking like this game. We're gonna wait. Because there's no fucking point going down here and clearing that shit out when we can't even, when we don't even have the key to advance there. We're just gonna get stuck then turn our happy ass around. What's over here? Anything good on dirt on the notes? I need to find shit on Malleolus. Okay. Octavia's chest. Note to Octavia. Nama's friend to Octavia. Oh. If you ever need somewhere to pray. Direction to a secret shrine. Enter the caves behind the theater, then turn right at the first fork and the second. Okay. Interesting. What's this? Household shrine. This takes me back out, don't it? Yeah. I'm kind of stumped. How are we gonna get shit on him? That's what I'm wondering.
Fear
That's
is
quite an
proof
impressive
of it.
bow
What
you
is
have
it,
there.
citizen?
Just like Diana.
What can you tell me about the magistrate?
He's one of the better commanders I've ever had. That's for sure. Good stoic. Lives by Seneca's words. Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Can't ask for much more than that.
Wait, there's no point
All right.
asking people to vote for someone when we can't even get them to drop out.
Keeping an eye on things, Horatius?
As always, priestess.
Any news about Centilla, Navia, or Kabash?
No sign of you.
The door's locked.
But we do have a newcomer. Strangely dressed woman. Pretty though.
He called me pretty! Yippee! I'm pretty! Hey.
Feeling alright? That's a...
She doesn't have anything. I need dirt. Wait. Yulia might actually know something.
Sorry, I'm still a bit out of it. Was there something... You mean my life story? Oh,
I'm just skipping again. Seeing if
Thank
there's anything new. No.
All
okay.
right.
I don't know. I'm stumped. I am stumped. I might look up a walkthrough, but I don't wanna. I don't like looking up walkthroughs. Especially for games like this. But I also don't like being stuck, you know? Because that's no fun for nobody. I feel like... anything in here? Shopping list? Jesus Christ. A list of things to buy once he has escaped. Okay. Yeah, there's no way to, like, lockpick anything. Last item was a bit concerning, yeah. This is where I came from, right? Isn't this where I escaped? Or is this new? This brain got big dreams, yeah. You could call it that. Yeah. Have I been here before? I think I have. I don't remember though. Maybe I haven't. A liar. There's not really much over here. I deadass don't remember if I've been here or not. Essentially, he said he wanted a dozen girls that were pale and or plump. So, you know, there's that. What is this? Hold on. Where the fuck am I? I just got an achievement for discovering what was beneath the city. Hello?
Ah, a visitor. Welcome, welcome.
What the fuck? I keep uncovering new plot points trying to fix the ones I already have. I'm EEBEE!
It's a sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here?
Not the doubleheader. I found it by accident.
Then perhaps the fates brought you here to learn the secrets of this place. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request.
Okay.
I've been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself.
Okay.
The one thing I long for above all else before I die
is
a good philosophical argument with somebody astute. I'm hoping that person is you. Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god responsible for the Golden Rule?
No.
You have much to learn. It's best if you figure it out on your own. Come back once you've made progress.
Okay. I'd really like you to tell me.
Then you should speak with your contemporaries in the city above. Ask them about their stories and see if you detect a pattern of some sort. It is best if you come to this realization for yourself.
I'm God. It's
You would never
me.
believe me if I told you.
I made up the Golden Rule because I thought it'd be funny. Now there's the plaque. Is there anything else in here? There's like some other stuff down here, it looks like.
Ah, you've returned.
Yeah, I've made no progress. Not the melancholy of EEBEE games. I love that anime, bro. Bathtub.
Ah, you've
This
returned.
isn't a beach. It's a bathtub. 8 identical streams. It never ends. And then this is where we came from, right? Yeah. Is there a way out of there from here? Looks like there's a... Ah! Okay, fuck. Looks like there's a way... I'm wondering if we can get over there. If that... No, I think that just brings us into a circle. Unless I'm stupid. Although I did fall through... Oh, no, that's not a way out. Okay, fantastic. We can't open that door, so we'll just go back the way...
You've returned.
The way we came, I guess. So... Glad that we decided to go exploring, because now we have a whole new other thing to do. Shit. Fuck. Okay. I still don't know where fucking sentence is. Fuck. I don't know where sentence is. I do like the way this looks. It's very pretty. Yeah, I literally was like, oh, you've returned. Bro, I haven't figured out shit. So that's in there. Cool. Every time I think there's gonna be something in the bathhouse, there's not. I still don't know where the fuck sentence is. That's bugging me. I don't know where old Piss Piss is either.
Sometimes
you guys
I
good?
stare at the... Welcome back.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you.
He's still taking down his graffiti. I don't remember what old Piss looks like. Yeah, it doesn't give me like a marker. I just need a quest marker for something. Cause it's not like I don't know what to do. I physically don't know where to go. That's my thing, is I'm like, where? Can I get like a map or something? Please? No? Okay. Alright. I have no fucking idea, bro. Yeah, because I thought he'd be in here. Or at least on the one above. Can I stop the... Well, no, I can't stop the election because I need to get Malleolus to drop out.
Fear is proof of a degenerate mind.
Okay. I fear nothing. I am the nicest... There you go! Sentence, my boy!
I assume you already know who I am.
Okay.
I must have entrusted. Is that about?
Okay. We've had this conversation too, and I'm in a hurry. Okay. I know who's gonna break the golden rule. I already know how to stop at least one person from breaking it. What happens now?
Well, if you stopped one person from breaking it and you're still here, then there must be someone else about to break it.
Okay. So that's referring to the assassin guy.
Allow me to explain. When I discovered the ritual to Proserpina, the
Oh,
instructions
boy.
came with a warning about paradoxes. The crux of it is this.
Fear is
If
proof
you do
of a
anything to change the
degenerate
course
mind.
of history in such a way that your very being here is impossible,
I need help. I'm eating dinner. I
You
ran
will
out of
have
water,
created
and I don't want to
a
get up.
to illustrate,
Drink
when the
your own
golden
spit.
rule is broken, I will open the doorway that will
That's
bring
all I got,
you to prevent
Bessie.
it from being broken. If you manage to succeed in saving our lives, then I will have no reason to open the doorway, and you will never have come here. A paradox. You see,
Thank you for the hygiene.
the same thing would happen if you, say, inadvertently, allowed me to die. If I can't summon you, then you can't be here, obviously. If either of those things were to happen, I am given to understand you would be flung back to your original time, having changed the course of history for us and yourself. So the fact that you are still here...
Okay. I get it.
Excellent. It looks like you'll have... Of course.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah.
It's Malleolus.
Why do you say that?
When he wins the election, he's going to convict you of treason and sentence you to death.
What? That's... I'm speechless. How do you know? Of course, this isn't your first loop, is it?
Nope.
Well then, you must stop him from winning the election. I expect you'll need some kind of leverage on him, but I can't be seen to be involved in this, of course, so you'll be on your own.
Okay.
You better not waste any time, and may Swada, goddess of persuasion, go with you.
I'll get right on it.
Good, thank you.
Well, he now knows, I guess, but that still doesn't give me a hint of what dirt to dig up on him. Because he's not... Can you
On your
find
best
him?
behavior, I trust.
What's your story?
I'm a legionary of the First Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughters.
Oh, shit.
Daughter, I should say. And the others. And making sure they're all behaving. I also keep a register of new arrivals.
How'd you end up here?
I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing all right for myself. 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over.
That was for
Not
me.
anymore.
I'm sorry.
She's probably figured I'd long gone and moved on by now.
sorry.
I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl. And pick up a little pendant from a silversmith.
Oh, that's
That's
nice.
when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some genetricum fugitor tried to take advantage of the
Some
chaos
what
and pinch
now?
my pendant.
Dude,
I
that's
remember
just
chasing him through the
future.
crowds,
What?
down towards the river. And then, nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But I'm fortunate to be alive, I suppose.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body.
Seneca's been brought
That
up
said,
twice now, I think. By the way.
Scintilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit.
Can I see the citizen register?
I don't see why not. Just make
That
sure I
might
get
give
it
us
back
some
by
hints.
tomorrow.
Thanks.
Of course.
Let's,
All right.
Can we take a look at that? Let's see. Citizen register. Where is Malleolus? Money lending. His duty is money lending. Notes not to be trusted. Interesting. Can I question him
What
about
now?
that? Who are you gonna vote for?
Not that it's any of your bit. Unfortunately. See, Domitius has been going around town, shoring up votes for Malleolus with lies, bribery, and intimidation.
Domitius, okay.
The man's a savage. But he's a gladiator, so people fear and respect him more than they should. Sentius knows about it, of course, but he doesn't have the same rat cunning as Malleolus. This place will be different with that sleaze at the helm. But
Well, you
I
could
try
say
not to
that,
worry
yeah.
about things I can't change.
Can I help?
I appreciate the thought, but you're new here, and I just can't see how you could make an impact in the time between now and the election this afternoon. In any case, if you're interested in the election, go and have a chat with Equitia, the Vestal Priestess. She'll be overseeing proceedings.
Can I tell her what I know?
He's one of the better. Treat Connors.
Okay, there's no one else I can say
Not
with this one, I don't think.
Senti this place.
Isn't that kind of weak?
Hey, if you think you can do better, be in any case.
Okay, I think I need to talk to Equitita, or however the fuck you say her name. She should be in the same spot as before, I believe. So, oh fuck, I'm stuck on a tree. So she'll be
I hope you
over
have
here, I
good
think?
reason for that.
Let's see. Alright. Equitidia! Hi.
A new faith.
Election. Actually, let's ask her about her story.
Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from.
Yeah.
I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy
I
ask,
don't even know what a
"What is
Vestal
your
priestess
story?"
is. Sorry, what should I have done?
The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address
Nah,
you.
I don't got time for that.
And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity, rather more indirectly.
I got
But to be
autism. I'm
honest,
going to be
I've
direct.
often
I'm
thought
sorry.
What an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So let's do it your way. You
Yes,
just
I
keep
will
being
keep.
yourself, and
I will
ask
keep
whatever you
being
like.
myself.
It'll be a refreshing change.
Yeah. So, what's a Vestal priestess?
You really don't know? You are from far away, aren't you?
Yes, a far-off
Well,
land.
I am one of the
Baltimore.
priestesses charged with keeping the sacred flame in Rome's shrine of Vesta burning. I take it you know who Vesta is?
No.
Vesta is the mother goddess of hearth and home, and the guardian of the Roman people.
What do you do here?
Put simply, I tend to the temples, ensure their sanctity is preserved.
Why?
Why? So that we continue to honor our gods, invite their blessings, and not bring their wrath down upon us, of course. It's vital that we keep them appeased and remain in their good graces.
Why? No. How'd you end up here?
No, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here?
A young woman named Karen dragged me out of a river unconscious and sent me in here.
Karen, you say?
Wow.
And nothing about that name seemed odd to you.
Carries negative connotations where I'm from.
Why is that?
Oh, because of the memes! Because of the memes!
The memes? What are the memes?
What are the memes? Hold on, I need my glasses for this. Hold up. Well, actually, a meme is a small image you share with other people. They become them a bit like their own language, but you wouldn't know that.
So, a bit like...
What? It like forced me to alt tab for a second. A bit like Egyptian hieroglyphs then. Sure, we'll go with that.
So your people make hieroglyphics depicting this accursed character, the one they call Karen. I wonder if... No.
What are you gonna... Come on, spit it out! What are you gonna say?
I apologize. I don't mean to be
Oh
cryptic.
my god.
It's just that you've got me thinking.
Can someone please clip this?
Have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember.
Wait, did Karen bring all of them here? Wait. Being a bit coy.
I know. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia.
Oh my
happen to
god.
you too.
I may have already noticed a pattern. I haven't, but the game thinks I have.
You have? Then what is it?
Some people mentioned, I think it was memory lapses?
That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. What else?
A coin.
Yes. I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else?
Some people mentioned a river.
Yes. I understand many of our friends are carried here by a river current. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through.
I still don't get it.
You mentioned earlier, you met a young woman in the forest named Karen, yes?
Yeah, that's right.
I see. And was this Karen, by any chance, wearing a hood?
She was! She had a hoodie! How'd you know?
Because I've seen her before. There's something I think we should do. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
Wait, are we gonna... okay. Alright, I'll meet you in the... Yeah, sure.
But don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Why not? Okay, here you go. Can we still bathe together though? Like, I'm related, but like... Would, you know? Like... We're bathing together. This is my new girlfriend. Hello, Olive Rome! Olive Rome, this is my new girlfriend. We're going to the baths together. And we're going to see each other naked. And pee in each other's buttholes. God damn it. Welcome to the stream, Sky. Is that not what couples do? I've been in a relationship for 8 years and I pee in David's butthole all the time. What do you mean, why would I say Okay. Are we bathing together? I'm gonna pee in her butthole and get her pregnant. Or maybe she'll pee in my butthole and get me pregnant. I'm never one to turn down M-preg. Wait, did I make myself a girl or a guy? I don't remember. Okay, I'm ready. Where are you taking me? Okay, are we here? Is this it?
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light.
We can make out in the light.
See.
Oh,
what a marvelous light.
the flashlight.
Do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it. Only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead.
Stop!
Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx.
Oh my god, I'm dead! We're all dead! Oh my god.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change.
The
Feels
coin!
Like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
There are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same.
Oh my god.
But on the bright side,
oh my god. What a twist.
I'm so sorry, my friend.
What a fucking twist.
So sorry. I take it you know what this means.
No, please explain it to me like I am 3 years old. This place is the underworld?
I'm afraid so. It's all.
Oh my god, I'm in hell. Okay, well, hell had a really nice, like, backdrop. It was really good for taking my Instagram photos.
None of them escaped with their lives after all.
Man!
Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the golden.
I can't believe I just found out I'm dead and I didn't get pussy. This is fucked up. This is so fucked up.
His epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to
Pluto.
take in, and you look as if you have questions.
So we need to go back and find the man in the cave.
I'll try to answer them if I can.
So we're dead.
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for
my
the
character
living to
died a
reach it
virgin.
without dying,
No!
if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid
I don't want to be a
know.
virgin. I want to be a Chad. What can you tell me about Karen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin.
Did I give her
an
a
obol.
coin?
That's why it was once our custom to
I don't
bury
know if I
our
did.
loved ones with a
Although
coin
she
in their
found
mouth.
change in my pockets.
Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
Why didn't you recognize Karen?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises.
Interesting.
You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger
Gender-neutral ferryman.
named Kefti,
Beast.
and
Ferry
Rufius
them,
described meeting a
beast.
stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Oh shit, so I gotta get out of here. Why are there so few people here?
Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin.
Like, what
as
did we
payment
do?
for passage across the river. But that never made any
Are we all like
sense to me.
terrorists or something and
What
we're
does
in
an
like the
ancient
supreme hell of
immortal
hells or
being
some
need with
shit?
Coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So
I
maybe there's
died.
something special about
I
the
didn't
coins
wanna
each of us held
die.
once. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Why were you trying to keep this from me?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions.
Olivia's the
especially
crazy
after
bitch,
Lydia's
but she's
rambling.
not crazy.
But
I mean,
would
that's a
never have
common
figured
trope.
it out
Crazy
without
bitch is
your
actually
help.
onto something.
I promise you.
That's my whole fucking life story. That's all the questions I had.
Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity.
Yeah.
We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter. Orpheus, a Thracian poet. Sisyphus, a king
Is
of
that
the
me?
fire,
Am I
and Aeneas,
Sisyphus?
a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They
Yeah, let's
persuaded the goddess of
let's
the
just like get in the
underworld,
pool
Proserpina,
together
to
and
help
like
them
look at it a
escape.
little bit more
And
closely
finally,
and like
Aeneas
explore each
was
other's
able to
bodies.
escape with the
That
help
will
of a
lead us to
spirit
the answer.
guide who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
You seem uncomfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it.
Oh,
and the reason is
Bitacle!
quite simple. He might might hear us.
Is it like fucking
You may
Voldemort?
refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Tell me more about confronting Pluto head on.
Shh. Is everyone so blunt where you're from?
Yes.
That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
Ah. Hercules couldn't manipulate time or turn organic matter into gold. I got that going for me.
Are you telling me that you can?
That's
I won't
right, hot
pretend to
tits.
understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance.
Yippee!
So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as
yes, the
Hercules
powerful
one day.
god.
But
EEBEE!
first, you need an audience with you-know-who.
Jesus Christ, not the
you'll need to
you-know-who.
enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an
I
audience
did see some
again.
spots with the missing plaques, yeah.
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
America! Where would I find the Roman plaque?
Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque.
Where would I find the Greek one?
I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the forum.
I'll ask Dooley about it. What about the Egyptian
Perhaps
one?
Kabash, our Egyptian resident, will be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago.
Well, that doesn't help me.
But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her. Or just take a look in his room.
Well, I'm no stranger to snooping. What about the mystery one?
I'm afraid you're on your own with that one. But perhaps finding the other 3 will illuminate the way.
Let's talk about something else. Can't we just escape the way we came
It's
in?
a reasonable question. But the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And
The
even if you
shaft?
could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
Tell me more about escaping with the help of Proserpina.
As I mentioned, Both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape.
Proserpina.
And Aeneas
I don't think
was
I've ever
guided
pronounced
to the
anyone's
exit.
name correctly,
The problem
ever,
is,
in this game.
those are the stories of a poet,
I
a
just
self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
Ew. That's horrible.
It is. The gods are a mirror image of mankind, as far as cruelty is concerned, I'm afraid. If the stories are true, I imagine she's as desperate to escape as we are. If she really did help Orpheus and Sisyphus, perhaps she'll help us too. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving
That's
that
a good
aside
question.
for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide.
Have
I
we?
suppose you've come across one of those in your travels.
I do hear the female statues whispering to me.
Truly? And you're only bringing this up
I
now?
thought everyone did.
Again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia.
That too.
Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
It's the same voice and she's helpful if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
She told me to jump at one point.
Oh, I see.
Like, she did tell me to kill
Well, let
myself
me know
straight
if
up.
you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth.
I'm ready to get started, though.
Right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
Yeah. I'll start with talking to Livia.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May
Alright.
Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina.
But what
on
about the
your
election? Shit, okay. Well, I think what we're gonna do is, I do want to keep going, but my throat hurts. I don't know why, but my throat hurts really bad. I even, like, canceled a bunch of my lessons today because I had an anxiety attack earlier today. But my throat hurty. So I think we're gonna call it here, but damn, what a twist. So I think we'll pick this up again next week. This was fun though. I like the way this game's going. There are some times where it does get a little like reedy, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I'm still enjoying it. You know what I mean? I want to know, we got a big cliffhanger moment, you know? But gamers, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. And I will see you on Friday. David and I are going to be streaming together on Friday. Let me see if I can get a raid going. Who will we raid? Who's live? We'll raid.
Come on down.
Oh, shit. Fucking, there's an ad on Twitch. Why did I have Twitch unmuted? Okay. We're gonna raid Hurry! She's playing Palia. She's very, very sweet. We are gonna raid her. And we'll make our raid message. What do we want our raid message to be? Let's do Karen raid. Karen raid. I think that'll be funny. On Friday, David and I are gonna start playing Return of the Obra Dinn together, and I'm really excited to play that with David. I wanted to play it by myself, but I'm stupid. So he's gonna come help me out with it. Alright, gamers, I will see you later. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you Friday right here. Bye-bye!